everybody. Welcome back to our Elgrow live stream events. I have some little friends here, my sturgeon friends, who are here to help us learn how to make a lake sturgeon sock puppet today. So in case you've never heard of lake sturgeon, it is one of probably the coolest fish that lives in the Great Lakes. I have my lake sturgeon shirt on today in case you didn't notice. Here's our little stuffy sturgeon who's here to see. And we're going to be making puppets that look kind of like these guys today. And what I'm going to do first is let you know what materials you'll need. And then while you're maybe wandering around your house, gathering up those materials, if you don't already have them, my daughter Evelyn's going to tell you a little bit about lake sturgeon. So first of all, to make these adorable little friends, like these guys here, hi buddy, you will need a sock, because it's a sock puppet. So see what you can find around your house. Socks with the longer, sort of the crew type of sock is better. Maybe you have a fancy sock. You can use little socks like baby, especially for little hands. So if your kids are making these socks, little kid socks might work well. And yeah, so have a few to choose from. You are going to need a needle and thread at some point. You are going to need some buttons. These are all drab buttons that Evelyn said I can use because she doesn't want to use them because they're not pretty. But they're very good for eyes for your sock puppets. You will need some duct tape, or masking tape would work maybe. I've never used masking tape, but you probably could. It's better if it's thicker because you're going to need to fold it in half. So a thicker tape like a masking tape or a duct tape we have here. And then you will need scissors. And you'll need a piece of cardboard or paperboard. So when we've done this before, we've used cardboard, but I actually think it works better to use paperboard because it's just a little easier to cut and to bend. And if you're like me, you probably have like a lot of cereal boxes lying around your house. So if you need to go out and gather some of those things up, go ahead and do that. But before we get too deep, oh, I forgot one thing. You're also going to need some string. This is to make the whiskers, or the barbells of the sturgeon, which are one of the cool parts. So in order to give you a little background on why we're making a sturgeon puppet, why we think sturgeon are cool, my daughter Evelyn who is in 4th grade, has prepared a little presentation for you. If you haven't yet required your out-of-school student to do a Facebook Live presentation, maybe you should think about it. Okay, so I'm gonna hold up, we'll see how this works, her presentation, and she's gonna tell you about sturgeon. Evelyn, I will turn the pages for you.
Okay. Lake sturgeon by Evelyn Bookstein. Habitat. Lake sturgeon prefer sand or gravel at the bottom of a riverbed or lake. Diet. Lake sturgeon like to eat insects such as worms, snails, crayfish, small fish, and other small organisms. Appearance. This species can grow to 9 feet in length and weigh more than 300 pounds. Like its prehistoric ancestors, lake sturgeons have distinguished shark-like tails and rows of armor plates called scutes for protection. Its skeleton consists of bones and cartilage.
Here's what the life cycle looks like.
First it goes egg, then larvae, then early stage juvenile, then adult.
If any of you have ever been to the Grand Rapids Public Museum, you've probably seen some of these cute little juveniles in their tank.
Effects. The lake sturgeon is one of the oldest species in the Grand Lakes. It's currently threatened and rare due to overharvest and habitat loss. It grows very slowly, but may reach 8 feet long and 300 pounds, can live for 55 to 150 years. The end.
Very good. Thank you, Evelyn, for that informative presentation about lake sturgeon. So they are a prehistoric fish. They have been almost unchanged for a very, very, very long time. So we are excited to learn about them and to learn about how to make a little puppet to liven up your day that looks like a sturgeon. And if you want to make a puppet that looks like a different kind of fish or like something else altogether, that's cool too. So the first thing you want to do actually is to take your paperboard. Now I have this handy little, cutout that I did, but you're going to want to make kind of a triangular shape. and draw it out and then cut it out of your paperboard. Or cardboard. Thank you, Evelyn, for the reminder. So we are filming today from my living room floor. And by the time that this stay home order is lifted, you'll probably have seen most of my house. We'll see who can create a good mental image of where I live. So once you've got your shape cut out, I want you to fold it in half, put a crease down the middle. And what this is going to do is to give your sturgeon's face some shape. Because you can see, one of the cool things about this fish is that it's got this long sort of pointed snout. Now, Evelyn, this wasn't in your presentation. Do you remember what, where the sturgeons eat their fish from? Like what part of the river?
The bottom.
Yeah, the bottom. So they're a bottom feeder. So they've got this elongated nose and then their mouth is on the bottom side there. And then these are their little whiskers, or like on a catfish, you call them barbels. And they use those to kind of feel around at the bottom for where the food is. So this, you can see we're trying to mimic his little face here. There we go. Okay, then pick out your sock. Evelyn, which sock are you going to do?
The black one.
She's going to do the black one. I'm going to do Fancy Sturgeon. And get 2 buttons for its eyes. So I'm going to go, because my sock is kind of dark, I'm going to choose these lighter colored ones. And what you want to do is use your needle and thread. My needle and thread are threaded, I guess you could say. And you will sew them on. So put the sock on your hand like you're doing it, like you're doing a puppet. I think it works better to put the heel kind of up by your wrist. So kind of get a sense for where he's going to be. And you want to put the eyes about 3 or 4 inches up from the tip of the nose. She's got my eyes here. Now, if you don't want to do sewing, like maybe you've got kids around or something and you feel like it's hard to sew, you could also actually just glue these eyes on, or you could use like googly eyes. I have some googly eyes too. In fact, I actually think I'm going to try googly eyes today because I haven't done that before and it'll be quicker. So if you have, some good fine motor skills and you want to do regular sew on those button eyes, you go ahead and do that. But I think that googly eyes are going to be easier for me today. And sometimes you can get peel and stick glue googly eyes. You can use hot glue, whatever works for you. So because I'm going to use my googly eyes instead of my needle and thread, you can needle and thread. It just takes forever, and I don't want to spend all that time just sewing in front of you on the screen. But if you use a needle and thread, then your sturgeon is going to look cool like this guy and have button eyes or have googles. So I'm going to take your form for his nose or her nose. It could be a female sturgeon. I actually don't know how to tell the difference between males and female sturgeons, other than I do know that females tend to be larger. I know some people who know a lot about sturgeons, so if they watch this video, maybe they can comment on it and let us know what has bigger or what the difference is, if there's any other way you can tell by looking at them. Okay, so we've got our sturgeon little face here. The next thing you want to do if you're using googly eyes is to get your glue out. We're going to use school glue, but you can use hot glue or whatever. And kind of stick your little eyeballs on a few inches apart. You don't want them to look too cross-eyed, but you also want it to look adorable. So you should definitely think about that. Okay, so glue the little eyes on towards the front. And then your next step is to use some kind of yarn or string for the little whiskers in the front. So I have this piece of string I found around the house. I have no idea where it came from, but it was making
a shoelace.
I don't think this is a shoelace. It was just in a pile on the floor and it was kind of bothering me. So I thought I'm going to make this into my puppet. So cut your string to whatever length you want its whiskers to be. It's nice to have a little pair, about like that. And then you are going to make a nose, take your sturgeon, and right up by his nose there, you're going to cut 2 little holes. They don't need to be big. This is just where your string is going to go through. So you can see I have these two little holes up by the face, and I'm just gonna take my little strings, my little yarns, and I'm going to thread them through those holes. Sometimes it can be hard to get your yarn through the hole if it has kind of a frayed end. So do your best. But I was able to pull mine through. He's looking pretty good if I do say so myself. And then the last part, oh, that's okay, that's okay. The last part that you need to do is to create his dorsal fin. So that's the fin that runs along the back side of their body. And you can see on a sturgeon, it's almost like, if you like dinosaurs, it's almost like a dinosaur type of fin on the back here. So what you're gonna do for that is pull out a piece of duct tape. Start pulling it out. And you're gonna cut it. You don't want anybody to see yours? Oh, okay, she's not gonna do it on screen. And then you take your duct tape, you fold it in half. You don't wanna fold it all the way in half. You want to just crease it and then fold the bottom part. Oh, I messed that one up. I'm gonna have to, I messed it up, so I'm gonna have to show you again. You wanna just fold the top part down, but leave the bottom folded out onto the sides. Like this. That's what I'm trying to do without getting mine totally stuck together. So I'm gonna try again. You might have to try again too. Sometimes you don't get it right the first time, and that's okay. You just try it again. We're learning that lesson a lot at home these days as we're all home together, trying to do hard new things. So, all right, I am just gonna crease the top part here as much as possible. Keep that flattened out. And then you stick it. Oh no, I did it again. Here, this part's still okay. It's hard, guys. This is not easy. Okay, we're gonna make it a shorter fin because I keep making it stuck. Okay, stick your little puppet on your hand. Sometimes that helps you know where to put the dorsal fin. And then stick your fin on his back. And you'll stick that flattened out part you see right on to his back. And then what you have is a little fish who's got a flat fin sticking up. And then you can make it whatever shape you want, but to look the most accurate, from the side, you would cut like a little wave pattern so that it looks like an actual sturgeon fin. Or just cut whatever pattern you're able to do. Sometimes you want it to cut a certain pattern, but it's just not turning out that good. Okay, so now you have your little wave pattern on the side here. Let me get my little cheat sheet, see if I forgot anything. And one thing that I like to do, so technically you could be done. If you want to be done here, you can be done. But one thing that I like to do, look at him, isn't he cute? Oh, I have pink eyes, whiskers, and a cute dorsal fin, and a very fancy stripe pattern. One thing you could do that I like to do to give their face just a little bit more shape is to take your needle and thread. Hang on, let me find the needle here. Take your needle and thread, and you see how you've got a little bit of sock like hanging down. And it depends on the size of your sock. This is kind of a bigger sock. Somebody with a large foot has worn this sock to work a lot of times and kind of worn it out, so it's a little stretched. So if you have a bigger sock like this, one thing you can do is take this little area down by his, it's not really called a chin. I'm not a fish expert, so I don't know all the right words, but down by the nose here, and kind of just stitch it together. And when you do that, that draws the, well, try not to get the whiskers in there, but that draws the nose area together a little bit so that it holds its shape and kind of keeps that scooped front rather than kind of flattening out. So I'm going to kind of sew his together a little bit. Oh, hello. I finished. Oh, she finished. Oh, that's Evelyn's new one. She finished it off screen, you guys. Okay, So then you can tie it off, clip it off. Oops. If your scissors work, if they're sharp enough. Maybe your scissors have been used for other purposes by your kids and they're not very sharp anymore. Okay. So then, so you can see how that really gave him a little more shape on his face. So here's my little guy. Here's Abby's little guy. Very cute. Ooh, look how good he looks. And that's how you make a sturgeon sock puppet, guys. If you have any, here, I'm going to move off to the side so you can get a little bit more sturgeon action on your screen, swimming around. Maybe you want to make your own sturgeon sock puppet. Maybe you want to make another kind of fish sock puppet. What other kinds of fish do you think you could make into a sock puppet? I would love to see. I would love you to share your sturgeon sock puppets with me. And if you learned anything about sturgeon today, or if you've learned anything, or if you learned anything after this because you want to do some research about the sturgeon, I would love to hear from you. Hear what you've learned, hear what you like about them, hear what you think is interesting. And please, please share with me your pictures of your sock puppets. You promise? Okay. We're going to be back on Monday reading a new story, and it's to help you learn about things that you might see outside when you go out exploring, since you're still allowed to do that, and what you might find and how to identify it. It's called The Wonders of the Pond. So get ready for that. See us on Monday, and then next week, Wednesday, hope you'll join us again for a science lesson where we're going to be, as I told you, you need 3 empty 2 liters. So make sure that you drink a lot of stuff out of 2 liters this week so you can do that experiment with us. And then next week, Friday, we'll have another art activity for you that is going to be a really fun painting activity. So we're looking forward to spending some time with you. I hope that your time at home is going well, that you're safe and healthy. And I hope that you're having fun with us, just kind of getting your mind off things and maybe learning a little bit along the way. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.